Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Shanna. So glad you're here today. Now, I have got this is actually pet tape, and we've got some beautiful scenery on here. And I had started a Kendra's Card Challenge 21 set of sketches with this. And it's kind of an eclectic mix because they started out not actually with this one. This is like, I don't know, 4, 5, or 6. I started the first two out in teal, and then the last three I changed to like a light blue color scheme. So here's 1 and 2, and then I think 3 is right here, and then 4 and 5. And with 3, 4, and 5, I changed to kind of a lighter blue pattern paper and cardstock theme to go with the pet tape. And so I've got 5 of them done. And when I sit down tonight, I was thinking I need to get this set finished. But I don't have the gas for that today. So I've got 6, 7, and 8 here. And I've cut those out and got those ready. I'm only going to do 6 and 7 because I really just ran out of gas. I've got a headache. I had a stressful day. And I'm just going to get the 2 done. I'm not going to push myself. We're just going to get them done. And then maybe tomorrow, tomorrow's the 30th, I think, I'll have another day that I might be able to get this set finished in time to get it entered for the January group. Now here, these die cut pieces, I didn't have a lot of paper, and so I just die cut out what I could, kind of leaving an edge on them just because it was as much of the circles as I could get out of them. So I'm just going to take this panel and lay it down on there, and then we're going to bring in our pattern paper layer and then our circles. Now the circles on the sketch do look as if they're layered because you've got like a lighter and then a darker behind them. But these circles that I have got some detail on them. You can see the edges here. And so I'm kind of using that for my extra layer. I'm not going to add an extra layer. I'm keeping it simple. And I'm kind of rearranging these a little bit differently than how the card sketch shows. You've got kind of a bigger one on the sketch on the left, and then a bigger one at the bottom, and then a smaller one at the top. But I'm flipping the little one and the big one for my design just because I think it's going to work out better for me. And you can certainly make these your own. The sketches are, kind of a starting point for you. They're to give you ideas. You can certainly make them your own and still enter them into the challenge. To enter into the challenge, you just have to take a picture of all 15 of your cards, just a single picture. Lay all 15 of them out together. Here I'm showing you how the sketch shows for those extra layers, but I'm not going to do it. But anyway, you just lay all 15 cards out and try to get a decent picture of all 15 of them laying together, and then you can enter those in the InLinks party. There's actually a QRL code on the cutting guide that you can enter for January, February, and March. So you have 3 chances to enter into the challenge. And if you want your pictures to be showcased, you want to go into Kendra's Card Challenge Facebook page and put your pictures in there so that they will be shown in the video that Kendra does. So I'm going to bring in one of these cabins, and I'm just going to get it laid down on my circle. We're just going to create a little scene with it. We've got a little cabin and a little snowy scene, and I think it works well with this pattern paper that I have chosen. And we'll just give it a lift and let you look at it. You can create some really quick and fast scenes. Now I've got these 2 girls on here, and I'm thinking they might fit on that big circle that I've got there. So I'm just going to peel them off and add them to my circles, and they're going to be kind of, having their little conversation with the cabin in the background is what we're going to do. And I'm taking my time trying to get it lined up. I want to make sure I have room for both of the girls so that they can be standing there drinking their coffee and talking to one another. I've got a lot of this pet tape, and I'm just trying to use it up, and I thought the sketches would be good for it, and it makes for a quick, fun scene. So I'm going to look for one more piece, and I'll find a tree line, I think, and I'll lay it down. I'll cut it up and lay it down on there, but then I will remove it because of my sentiment. So you can look and see at all. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? All these different little scenes. I'll tell you, I had a lot of fun. Blossom, which is a crafty friend in our crafty circle, had given me like a journal, and it was in a purple scheme, and I took some of the other pet tape that I've got and just started decorating each month. I've only done January and February, but had so much fun just layering the pet tape, and it was more of a purple scheme because it matched the journal that she had sent to me. And I just had the best time. I did not film it. I was just relaxing and playing with it, and I just really had a lot of fun with the journal. So I'm enjoying using this. It isn't a product that I've, specifically used before until they reached out to me and decided to, send me some of the product. And I've really had fun with it. It's been kind of a carefree play, especially working on that journal. Just kind of just having a crafty play, and I really have enjoyed that. So I've got my little scene here, and I'm going to lay it down, and you can see I've got those pine trees there. And I'm realizing I need to look for, I've got to get a sentiment on there. And it calls for, I think, a 3/4 inch strip that you would just lay along the bottom of that bottom panel. So I'm going to cut one. And then this particular pet tape that I'm using doesn't have sentiments in it. But another one of the winter pet tapes that they sent me had some sentiments. So I'll bring it in and I will lay a winter sentiment. Now, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't want to cover up my girls. And it looks weird on top of the tree. And so this is removable, and you can just pull it off. And so I'm just going to pull it off. We're going to leave that circle alone, and then we can layer our sentiment across from it. And it'll be just fine. Now, I've got that stuck to my finger, and I'm looking at these sentiments, and I'm going to start trying to pull it off with that other piece stuck on my finger, and I'm like fussing with it. Eventually, I'll lay that other piece down and and then be able to use all of my fingers for this. That's a novel idea. So I have these thick, I have mentioned this in my videos recently if you watch them. I've got these thick acrylic nails on, and they don't make it easy to pull these thin things off of here. So I'm going to struggle with it a little bit. And then we're going to get this laid down. You can see I've still got those trees stuck on my fingers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still messing with it. Trying to get this laid down and lined up straight, and I'll fuss with it and struggle with it. But eventually I'll get it somewhat close to how I want it to be. And here's where I'm like, get rid of the trees. So I just stuck them on the edge of my desk because I thought I could stick them back on there and use them. And then I'm going to try to get this lined up. I wish I'd gone a little bit more to the right because I've got that curly V that's kind of hanging off there. And it's, I don't know, some kind of a velvety, wintry scene sentiment. And I'm just going to get it laid on there. I've got that stark white, not sure how I feel about that, but we're going to get it laid down on there. Honestly, I was just putting no pressure on myself at all for this video tonight. I was like, my head was thumping, and I'm like, just get these two done, and we'll work on the rest of them tomorrow. So I'm going to bring in my next, this would be sketch 7. And this is the one where you've got all of those pieces of pattern paper strips, and you just line them up. Now, I have a little cheat. I bring in an extra sheet to lay them down on, and then I cut my diagonal from that is how I do it. So I've cut this sheet down to, I don't know, it's 3.5 or 3 3/4 or something like that. And I'm going to layer them on there. And I don't know. I think I didn't measure right or whatever, and I'm going to trim it down. It's going to be a little bit smaller than the sketch, but it still is very reflective of the sketch and would be suitable for submitting entry. So no big deal, no pressure there. I'm just going to line them up on the one edge, and that'll help me to stack them nice and neat. And then I'll just trim them off. Now this is all in real time. None of this has been sped up. So you're going to painstakingly watch me lay this all down in real time. And I've set them on my glass mat there, A, B, C, and D, so that I could get them laid down right. And then once I get going, I realize I must have cut one of them wrong, and we'll have to rework it, but it'll be fine. You can see when I'm lining them up there, I'm actually measuring them on that glass mat. Those little squares are 1-inch squares, and then you've got 1/4 inches inside of that. So that's one of the beauties of having a glass board studio is you can just measure right there on it, and you don't have to drag out, your T-square or anything like that. It's very handy, and I find myself measuring on there all the time. So here's where I'm like, okay, lay these out, because I was thinking you have a wide space in this sketch where the sentiment lays, and I'm like, I've cut these wrong, I've cut the panel wrong, something's wrong, so I can't start at the top and then start at the bottom and have the gap for the sentiment. So I'm measuring myself, what did I do? And I'm like, just wing it. So we're going to just move these up and glue them down, leaving enough room for the area where the sentiment is actually supposed to go. And we'll just glue them down, and then we can make our diagonal cut, and we will have our panel on there. So don't, if you're playing along with Kinder's Card Challenge, don't fret too much about getting it exactly right for the challenge. It just needs to represent it. We're not going to cut everything perfect all of the time. And it really, Kendra just, wants to provide these sketches for some inspiration. I laid this one down wrong and was going to try and move it. It won't move, so I'll have to cut it as well. But it's still going to work out just fine. And we're going to come up with a card that kind of looks like this sketch. But anyway, like I said, she just, her goal was to just, provide some sketches for some inspiration. And then, the challenge is to show that you did all 15 and so that you can share your picture and people can see for inspiration. It's just a really fun little idea, that concept that she came up with, and good heavens, we're on challenge 21, so it has certainly taken off. And I think I've played along with the very first one I played along with was challenge 10. I think I was a guest designer in 11, and I've been designing with her ever since, and it's a lot of fun, especially for times like today when you're tired and you want to enjoy your craft room and you don't want to have to think, but you want to create. So you can just piggyback off of one of her sketches and turn out a really pretty card fairly easy without having to think too much, because she's done all of the work for you. So I'm like, it looks good enough. It's not exactly how it's supposed to be, but I think it's going to work. So we're going to get it laid down on here. And I needed to bring in a card base. I make my own card bases, so sometimes they're off, and you'll see me cut them on my videos, but sometimes they just need a little trim, just kind of a little hair cut off of them to make them line up. And sometimes I don't get the paper laid down on there right, which I think is the case here. So I'm going to lift it and give it another shot and square it up on there, and it's going to come out all right. So we'll get this laid down on there. Now today would have been my mother's 80th birthday. My sisters this morning texted, and one of them said she's celebrating in heaven, and that she is. So I'm going to get this laid down on there. It's a pretty pattern paper, and I will tell you, this paper is scraps. This is old stuff that was in a 12 by 12 container that I had just thrown in there. I think it's some of that stuff that I had picked up at a rummage for like 25 cents a pack. And I got like, 4 or 5 of them. They were 12 by 12. They had barely been used. They'd bought them for a wedding and just used select pieces out of it and put the rest in a rummage for like 25 cents a piece. And I'm like, I'll take all 4 of those for $1 or however many I was. It was just, and so these were scraps that I had used it for to make something, and it was left in my 12 by 12 bin, and I just pulled it out, and I thought, I'm going to use these up. So here we're going to bring in the pet tape, and this girl in this, I don't know if it's a moose. I think somebody told me it was something else. I don't know what it is, but I thought, we've got a lot of space on here, and for some reason that just jumped off of that tape at me, and I thought, I'm going to use this and lay this down on here. and just kind of make an interesting looking card. And I kind of look for some more things to go with it, and I didn't position it very well. It would have been nice had I have put maybe a cabin in the background and then kind of laid them on top of it. I thought about bringing in another elk, maybe it's an elk. And then I was looking at some trees, and I was like, well, if I'd have put them behind it, then I started to lift it, and I thought, no, we'll leave it alone. And then I wind up seeing some clouds, and I wind up going with some clouds is what I wind up doing. So I'll stick that back on there. We'll go in search of something else. Here's some clouds. They kind of get lost on that pattern paper, but I'm going to lay them down on there. And I got to that point, and I thought, the headache's thumping. I'm going to give it a pause. So I really like the cabin scene with the little gals. And then we've got I guess it's an elk, and the gal. It looks like she's giving him a little treat. So I think they turned out all right. So I appreciate you watching. If you haven't played along with Kinder's Card Challenge, I recommend you check it out. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye now.